shout out to the Chunky Boys. Chunky Boy shirts available at the link below in the description. What's up, everybody? My name is CJ from Hate to Pile On, or you can call me Commander CJ because I am the resident Washington Commanders fan. Today, we're going to break down the initial 53-man roster for the Washington Commanders that got released on Tuesday. So there's a lot of ebbs and flows that are going on currently with the roster. So this is going to be ever fluid. This is kind of the first iteration. I expect us to be very busy over the next 24 to 48 hours with this roster. But also, before we get into that, a little news on the Washington Commanders today, where Commanders Field is no longer. There will be now the Fed is what I think we're commissioning it. The Northwest Stadium is now formerly Commanders Field, formerly FedEx Field. Northwest Federal Credit Union has struck an 8-year deal with the Commanders to have naming rights for the stadium. So Washington's being active, currently trying to make more money, but also try to just move this franchise forward. And with a lot of the renovations to Northwest Stadium, or the Fed, we will call it. I'm excited. It's not the new stadium that we really want, but it's making progress. It's trying to clean up what you have, because we don't know how long it's going to take for us to get a new stadium, right? And then so if it is, say, the rumored target is around 2030, that's still 6 years. So you want to make, Northwest Stadium, that's kind of get used to saying, livable. You don't want to be the crapshoot. We don't want to be the laughing stock of the NFL. And Josh Harris and company are, putting their money where their mouth is, and they're not going to be last in facilities, and they're working on a new practice facility and all that, and with business offices. So that's a lot of stuff that's happening. I'm really excited to see it. Okay, so speaking of really excited, let's break down this the first 53 roster for the Washington Commanders. So okay, we start off with quarterback position. So we had about 5 quarterbacks in camp. Obviously, Jayden Daniels going to be starter day one. That's not anything at all. Marcus Mariota. See, Marcus Mariota, I understand his veteran presence and his ability. I think that obviously dealing with the growing is he didn't play a lot. So it's like, I think they trust him enough with his knowledge of the system to be good. But I thought Jeff Driscoll at times this preseason played really well. Same as Trace McSorley. He came in on short notice and really was put in a terrible position, honestly, because he wasn't one of the initial quarterbacks, and he kind of just thrust in, but he played well. He played fierce. He got a good bit of game time the last 2 games of the preseason. Obviously got cut. Same with Sam Hartman, who got cut. And Sam Hartman got hurt after the first preseason game, so availability is key. I am curious to see which of the 2 quarterbacks we decide to put on the practice squad. I would lean Sam Hartman because he was kind of a priority free agent. But we'll see. Trace McSorley kind of impressed, and I'm really excited to see what he can do. Running backs. Okay, so Brian Robinson Jr., Austin Eckler, I think were for sure the locks. Originally, I thought Chris Rodriguez was going to be the guy, but it's looking like Chris Rodriguez is not a good fit for what we're going to do and how we're going to use the running backs. Only 3 running backs kept. So definitely should see us bringing someone back on the practice squad for sure. But Jeremy McNichols, a veteran who's kind of been around the game a little bit, gets that running back 3. Michael Wiley was also kind of getting a little run. Maybe Michael Wiley kind of comes back on practice squad depending on how things shake out on the waiver wire. So that should be really fun to see. Going to tight end. So tight end was definitely one of those interesting positions to where I was a Cole Turner fan. I like his a tall, athletic receiving tight end. I really thought he had a lot of potential, but again, drops in the last preseason game, not be able to have good ball security, hasn't been able to develop, which is a key, especially when you got Colson Yankov, who I kept hearing his name constantly throughout training camp, and someone who's hungry for the opportunity. Undrafted free agents took every chance he got and did well. Obviously, when we brought in Zach Ertz was our first signing, and then Ben Sinnott in the second round. Those are two guys right there. You kind of it's already gonna make it tough for the spots at tight end. And then John Bates looked really solid. Obviously, a really good blocking tight end, but really flashed his hands when you go these two tight end sets. I think he can surprise people and leak out and maybe do some things really well. I'm interested to see how that tight end 2 rotation goes, whether it's going to be Sinnott or Bates. But I'm excited to see how the tight ends are used in this system with Cliff Kingsbury. So this is one of two. Okay, this is probably my second least favorite position group right now in terms of the depth. Obviously, with the trade of with the trade of Jahan Dotson, kind of shook a lot of people up. But hearing, whatever I don't want to say attitude issues, but just kind of like maybe not a good fit for the team at this moment. Maybe wasn't grinding as hard. Maybe not picking up certain things as well. There was a lot of rumor in the window. Whatever have you, we got a third-round pick for him, so he's out of the building. Former first-round pick. Obviously, Terry McLaurin leads this group. Dyami Brown had a really good preseason. He keeps fighting, and I've been a big Dyami Brown fan since we drafted him. Luke McCaffrey now gets the opportunity to be that big slot, which I think we like and we want to have. So I want to see him develop. He's made some big-time catches, and he plays pretty big. OZ, I'm not even going to butcher that. Zacchaeus. He also flashed. He had a really good camp. But again, he's kind of smaller. And I think one of the big things that I want to see was a bigger body receiver, which, Luke is 6'2", but I wanted like a 6'3 plus receiver in this room. Jamison Crowder, Byron Pringle made it initially. I'm not a fan of that. I think JMO obviously is going to be used for his punt return abilities, kick return. Same with Brian Pringle. I think Brian Pringle's kick return all summer long and training camp. So that makes sense for those final 2 slots. But it doesn't move me. And, there's 2 acquisitions I would love to make at the wide receiver position. Obviously, the one everyone's talking about would be get Brandon Ayuk, San Francisco ties, maybe make something shake, trade and sign. You're going to have to issue big money. I'm cool with that. Terry, Dyami, and Ayuk will be a nice 1, 2, 3. But my number 1 pick to be for the wide receiver would actually be T. Higgins. T. Higgins, 6'4" receiver, physical, can get up and go get the ball, good hands from Clemson. It's really a 1. He's been the 1A, 1B to Chase. I think obviously Chase was dealing with more injuries, so T has kind of stepped up, but also T has some injuries as well last year, but he's been really solid. And I think a 6'4" receiver to go on the side, and he's physical and he's willing to block. I would love T. Higgins in this offense. And I think T. Higgins for me is actually a better fit. And you might be able to, I don't know. We'll see like what the price would be, but it will be interesting because the Bengals are low key drafting some really solid wide receivers that you guys probably not heard of. But I think they're going to be next up if they just decide to let T. Higgins walk. Moving on to the offensive line, another position group that I don't love, very weak in my opinion. Brandon Coleman, I love early on what he was bringing and his big, strong hands. He can move. I saw his great footwork, but then he strained his pec early on. And I understand the pec issues. It is very hindering, but missing a lot of time early, and especially key installs is not good. Hopefully he's picking up everything, but week 1 against Tampa Bay, if he starts, it's going to be a tough assignment. But, Cornelius Lucas starting ahead of him. I don't love that either, but he's serviceable. Same with Andrew Wiley at right tackle. I don't love it, but he's serviceable. Sam Cosme, I think he's becoming really good. Tyler Biadasz and Nick Allegretti, solid interior guys. Just want to see how they mesh together. Our depth is not the best. Chris Paul did prove that he has that position flex, that keyword that we love under the Rivera era. Michael Dieter, a veteran center, coming to back up Biadasz. And then Trent Scott, who solid, but, not the best camp. I would think we would try to look for a tackle and try to find a swing tackle, maybe with some starter upside, but what does that look like right now? And so we'll see as the market shakes out. Hopefully there could be a surprise cut for an offensive tackle. I think that would benefit us greatly. I'm not the big fan, but if Brendan Coleman can develop, I'm really happy with that. I think that's the key objective for this season, is if Brendan Coleman can develop to be a guy for us at left tackle to hold it down for the next 5 to 10 years, that'd be great. And then we can work on getting a right tackle in the draft next year. Before we get to the defensive side of the ball, I want to just say shout out to the Chunky Boys. Chunky Boy shirts available at the link below in the description, where we design these shirts and we embody the Chunky Boy spirit. Chunky Boy being a little different, standing out, but using that difference to be elite, to be great, and to shine. And we want you guys to shine in these Chunky Boy shirts. Link in the description, and get you one today for this football season. And tag us when you get one. So on the defensive side of the ball, here we go. So we got defensive tackle, John Allen, Daron Payne, Johnny Newton. As of right now, John Ridgeway is on the trading block. I thought John Ridgeway played his way into this onto the roster, but I think at the same time, you might want to go a little bit younger here at the position now that we're still rebuilding. So, and if it's really close between Mathis and Ridgeway, which it seems to be, I think you kind of go with Mathis, second round pick, 2 years in now, 2-3 years in. So I would kind of go that route. Defensive end, I definitely think we'll be in the edge market next year for sure, depending on where we land in the draft. I love Javonte Jean-Baptiste. I love his intangibles. I think he has the ability to be something. I don't know how high his ceiling is, but I think he has some raw, freakish traits that you look for. I think Jamin, also, it was kind of like a long shot of, honestly, him making the team. I kind of felt like, I think he was a solid outside linebacker last year. And I think we tried to fit him into a middle linebacker Mike role, which I don't think he is. But he does have insane athleticism. And so I want to see him grow in this role, and maybe he can, get a second contract with us, and I just don't want to see him get another contract with another team as he figures out how to play the position at defensive end. And the next, he's, wreaking havoc with the Commanders. Clelin Ferrell, I heard he played well. Dorrance Armstrong, obviously familiarity, Orange Armstrong familiar with Dan Quinn. Clelin Ferrell from the area, excited to see him kind of get opportunity to kind of maybe hopefully rehash some of these first-round picks. I mean, he was a third overall pick by the Raiders. So a lot of high expectations, but it didn't quite live up to those high expectations. But I think he's a solid run defender, and I think if he can show some upside of pass rushing ability, it should be a lot of fun for us this year. Linebackers, Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, Dante Fowler Jr., Mikael Walker, and Dominic Hampton, which saw Dominic Hampton getting slotted in as a linebacker. I just think he's going to be someone they really develop and kind of nurse. I believe Jordan Maggie is on the PUP list, so he will be there for at least the first 4 games of the year. which that should be interesting how they deal with the numbers, who goes to practice squad once he comes off. And so that's going to be another situation where we see this initial 53 change up a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I think Bobby Wagner's professional. I think Frankie Luvu's about to have an insane year. I'm really excited for a Frankie Luvu year this year. Safeties, one of the deepest positions on this team, and I love a lot of these guys. I'm not going to be, I mean, it's still early, so it's nothing set in stone, but I 1,000% thought Derek Forrest was cut. I love Derek Forrest. He's done great. Obviously, coming off an injury last year that took him out all year was not the best. And then obviously adding to the position. I think with Quan Martin's ability to play star and possibly safety could lend having an extra safety on the roster for now. Jeremy Chin is going to be a guy who's freak. He's getting back to what he's want to do. 6'3", can run. I'm excited for Jeremy Chin and Quan Martin to play next to each other. Revo is, I mean, the consummate all-pro, Pro Bowler. I thought he possibly could have get cut. I know they just signed to a new 2-year deal, but, you know, obviously I think he holds down that. Percy Butler was a guy. I've been a fan of Percy Butler since we drafted him. Obviously a 4'3" guy, a freak athlete. You don't really want to get away from speed. But he's making some plays. He's making some plays, but he makes some mistakes. So he's still pretty raw, but I would love to see him develop. I think he has a lot of intangibles that could be really good for us if he can develop under the system. I think he hits hard, he runs fast, he arrives at the football very violently. Tyler freaking Owens, the man of the summer, someone who's been just causing havoc. Like some of his intangibles and his skill, like stats that you look at in college, like how the hell did this dude go undrafted? And I love the fact that our scouting department has been so locked in with guys with good traits that there's all one mission, one goal, and we're getting people who have those. And the fact that we were able to get him in the undrafted and he made the team, same as Yankov, 2 guys undrafted, shows you that like we have a really good scouting department. These guys, and we're able to get a steal. And hopefully Tyler Owens can develop, because I think Tyler Owens has everything you need to be a starting caliber safety. Now it's just seeing what we haven't been able to do, as the big headlines have been, 12 players since 2015 the Commanders draft picks has had and haven't made it on the roster this year. So I want to see us now that we get some of these guys like Jean-Baptiste, Tyler Owens. I mean, Quan Martin's still young. I want to see these guys develop. They got the tools. So we see the speed. We see the, the things, like the little traits here and there. Now we need to see it all come together. And will it happen? So, and rounding out the defense, this is probably my least favorite positioning group in the entire team. And there's obviously clear holes on this team that need to get better. Who is cornerback 1? It's probably Mike Sanders still, a rookie who just came in, who's going to play the star position, but he might, out of necessity, be our outside corner. St. Juice, I like St. Juice. I've been a fan of him since he has the size. I just want to see him put it together. Obviously he got picked on a lot. I mean, our corners are young, and Forbes and Juice get picked on so much, but they had to, because there was no one else, no veteran presence. I mean, we had Kendall Fuller, who was locked down. So Kendall Fuller had that side of the field for the most part. And it's like, okay, I'm going to go at St. Juice. I mean, Mike Davis, Iganagabi, I mean, these outside corners do not move me. And I think that should be a priority if any decent there were some corners that got released that I'm interested in. We'll see if they fit our scheme and what we're looking for, but I definitely think we need to make a move at corner. 1,000%. And look, I hope St. Juice and Forbes bounce back. I think they have faith in them. I think with proper coaching with a coach who actually coaches corners that's been in the NFL, not a high school coach. I think that should help them. I think we're going to see leaps and bounds. So we have to be a little patient. But at the same time, I'm not going to be surprised if the entire cornerback room next season is completely overhauled with maybe 2 draft picks, a couple free agents, and something completely different. So that would not surprise me. And then specialists, obviously Tress Way, the consummate pro, Tyler Ott, and then Cade York, the kicker that we traded for from Cleveland, which, a lot of Cleveland fans were just happy that he's gone. So I don't know how I feel about that. Obviously, Dustin Hopkins, former Commanders, Washington football team kicker, beat him out for the job in Cleveland. But Cade York was a solid kicker in college and was a draft pick, I want to say. So hopefully he can get it together. Obviously, we see kickers once they switch teams, they kind of figure it out. Maybe just different situation and fresh change of scenery or whatever. So, but all in all, listen, I'm excited for the NFL season. I'm excited for another year with Commanders football. I'm optimistic most of the times. And this year, I'm a little more pessimistic. I'm just excited to watch Jayden Daniels play and develop. That's my biggest key. I just want to make sure we protect him. I think we're going to give up 1,000 points, but I think we might give a chance and score 500, right? I want to see us win at least 5 to 7 football games this year, which is more than 4, and be competitive as much as we possibly can. I think Jayden's going to give us that shot. Just his youthfulness, in the low energy. I think that's what we want this year, is to see that spark, to see the potential of where we're going, because we still have a long way to go with this team. Corner depth, wide receiver depth, offensive line depth. There's a lot of things that I don't like, but it's the beginning. We're trying to get back to ground zero, right? And so then we can start to build off of that. And it's funny going back now, when Adam Peters first started and they asked him, who are the pieces on this roster that you think you can build with? And he's like, very political. Yeah, there's a couple guys I think, it's a pretty good roster. And then he stripped this thing down bare bones. And don't get me wrong, there are pieces, Terry McLaurin, Daron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Sam Cosmi can be a big piece. I think he's going to play himself into a big contract pretty soon. Yeah, that's about it, and so, Tressway was, but special teams. So it's so many holes that we need to fill, and we need people to prove it this year. And so I hope they do it, and hope we see hope they prove me wrong. I hope we get more than 5 to 7 wins this year. But I think that's my prediction is going to be between 5 and 7. And I'll be content with that, to be quite honest with you. Because I understand that it's a rebuild and it's not going to be overnight. I mean, if we have everyone keeps saying the Houston Texans type bounce back, I just want sustained success. I don't want overnight success. I want success so I know we can build and have it for, next 10 years to be contenders. I don't want to have that 1 year and then, you kind of fight to be in the playoffs every year. I just want us to continue to build, get the right people, and then just have talent throughout the roster. But thank you guys for watching this video. If you made it all the way through, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe here at Hate to Pile On. We will be having a watch along this Saturday, August 31st, Clemson versus Georgia, first game of the year. Many more watch alongs to come. I will be doing breakdowns of the Commanders, or reactions of the Commanders games, how I felt we did, and just bringing that to you guys Sunday night / Monday-ish or Tuesday, whenever we play. I want to give you guys more Commanders content, because you guys always show out for me every time I do a Commanders video. So I just want to keep doing them for you guys this fall. So appreciate you. Make sure you comment down. Who do you think we should target before the season starts? Were you surprised by any cuts? Let me know about the 53-man roster for the Washington Commanders for 2024 season. But I've been CJ. Have a great rest of your day, morning, or whenever you're watching this video.